Once you think about probably the most talked about concept in 2019, Fozzie, was the dual pivot. That all of a sudden, because you had guys who could play both 10 and 15, gave you selection dilemmas, I am sure. But for you, I mean, explain to us in your mind what dual pivot means, and is it something you're looking at going forward? Or has it always been there?
Look, it's always been there. It hasn't always, we haven't always done it the way we've done it, but it's about having an extra decision maker on the park, running another side of the park. And so, like, when we used Bodie there with Richie, I mean, it wasn't a deliberate move to move Bodie back. It was also the fact that Richie was playing well and actually earned a right to go into there for us to have a look at it. So, and Bodie touched the ball as much as what he did when he was at 10. So, you know, you talked a lot about David in that game, and probably the thing that David Havili was missing at 10 was David Havili at 15. Yeah. You know, and so when Richie was there, David actually is a great communicator with him, and so you get your dual pivot going there, and that's something that they'll probably have to grow. But you just got to have decision makers on the park, and we've got a couple of good ones.
Yeah, I guess it's a funny one for me. I'm a forward and I'm asking a backs question, but my understanding and limited forward understanding of a dual playmaker. So we've seen Will Guinea at 9. Quade Cooper at 10, that's a sort of a dual playmaker on the field. You see Ford and Farrell 10 and 12 at the moment, and that's the way they're doing it. Are we the only ones doing 10, 15 dual playmaker, or is there someone else doing it? And if we're the only ones doing it, is it just going to need a little bit more time? Yeah,
look, I was really pleased with the progress here. I mean, we're going to relook at that too, by the way. I mean, it's not set in concrete for us. Aussie used Curtly Beale a lot in that space, and sometimes he's 15, sometimes he's 12, so they've really got two things. But if you look at the amount of rucks that you have, and some of the clips that you showed with David, particularly the midfield rucks in the centre of the park, having people on either side that have got the skill set, I think, to be a 10, means that you can run a sort of attack on both sides and make clearer decisions, and that's really what I think dual playmaker means.
I mean, the first time that Millsy went from centre to fullback, I'm going, whoa, how hard's that? I mean, I was a right wing, you know. Props now can play both sides. Is the specialist back especially just a thing of the past? We've got people playing every position. I mean, Havili could probably play 10, 12, 15, and I've seen him play on the wing. I mean, is the specialist back play, I know you props get sensitive about this, over as a future's concerned? Yeah,
no, I don't think so. I think that we're lucky enough we've got some players that are multi-talented, and I think some of the work, some of the exposure that they get at Super Rugby in different positions is really good for them, because they learn to see things differently, and they learn how. But the big thing you got now is because defences are wider and quicker, if you just have the person on the inside making all the decisions, then you're going to have a very limited view. So often key decisions now are coming off the second or third receiver, not just the first. And so you're really looking to make sure that your midfielders or your fullback have got a really ability to see clear pitches.
Has the picture in 2020 changed significantly to what you had available to you last season? The return of Damian McKenzie, the return of Aaron Cruden to the Chiefs. I want to ask you first, can he be considered for the All Blacks in 2020, Aaron Cruden?
Yeah, I think so. You know, to be fair, we know he's off to Japan at the end of the year, and what that looks like. So I don't know the exact detail, but I'd like to think so.
But he's a guy who is a specific 10. He is that's what he does. I mean, the return of Damian McKenzie. I mean, all of a sudden, the wealth of talent you've had, and in the past, you've found ways to get everyone on the park. That's going to be challenging in 2020 if everyone's fit and available.
Oh, look, there's no doubt. And I mean, I think if you know, once we finish sulking about the World Cup and we sit down and think, OK, well, there's a lot of young talent on the park that day, and so there's a lot of pain in the guys, but there's a lot of those people are coming back, and so we've got to make sure we grow that group. But yeah, there are some big decisions to make in the backs. But the exciting thing is that we're developing more people that are comfortable to do something and make a decision when they've got the ball in their hand.
Fozzie, I mean, I know it's only been round 2. You seem reasonably happy with the guys' individuals' performances. You talked about versatility in the backs, but you've also lost a lot of kept players. What keeps you up at night now, thinking, man, we've got to fill those positions?
Yeah, look, I mean, well, you look at the likes of Rito, and big shoes to fill. So, and you look at the experience of someone like Brodie Retallick, who's going to be away for a year and a half, and you could argue that you can't replace those guys. So, but what they do is they create great great opportunities for the next tier. And that's what I'm an optimist when it comes to New Zealand rugby. Like I know we dwell a lot on the negatives, but the fact is, every time there's an opportunity, we see young people coming in and taking it. And that's the good work that's done at Mitre 10, and it's a great work that's done at the super level with the expanded squads they now have, that they're actually bringing players through that are well equipped. So what's keeping me awake at night? Well, I'm just too excited, mate. I just want to get into it. And I think we've got a bunch of guys that have got a point to prove, and we've got some great opportunity to bring us some new talent through. So it's quite nice looking at it with a bit of a clean slate. We've got to sort of captain out. So there's a few thoughts going on in that space.
Again, mate, just right under here.
Well, you were my captain in the Chiefs, mate. You did a heck of a good job of it too.
Fozzie, I know the World Cup was incredibly disappointing. Congratulations on the way the team acted, and I was over there. Both the team and New Zealand supporters were incredibly mature. That doesn't change the hurt, and I know you've done a deep review of that. I mean, what are your key learnings taking over as head coach now to take out of that pain moving forward? What's the big thing that's come out for you?
Well, look, there's a million things that I probably can't cover in 60 seconds, and probably don't want to either. But it's, you know, like no one in that group had lost a World Cup game, and of the playing group, and so it's gonna, you know, now we know what it feels like, and it's not nice, and so that's got to fuel this next generation, because we want to be number one, and we're not, and it hurt. And so I think there's that little bit of, if there was any complacency in our group, and I don't believe there was, but if there was, we just got a sharp uppercut with that. We've got to figure out how to play teams physically when they play us physically, and more teams want to prevent us to play. And I think that when we get our game right, when we understand the nature of the beast we're playing, like we got up for South Africa, got up for Ireland, and I thought they were outstanding games, and yet we didn't get up for England. We didn't define that challenge well enough for us, and they played us a certain way, and it looked like it surprised us, even though it shouldn't have. And so we've got to figure out how we approach that type of challenge.
Yeah, Fozzie, we've talked a lot about selections, and most of it's been based around players. Now, Chrono, Hansen, Smithy, these are names that we've heard for a long time now, and with selection, you've had to create a whole new different team. How excited are you about that team, and how are we going to know, when are we going to know when you know that you've nailed those selections as well?
You mean the whole management team? Yep. Yeah, no, I've basically got that sorted, so it's been a busy January, and you know, we've got a lot of our backroom staff coming back, and I'm delighted with that, because I think they're the part of the secret ingredient in the All Blacks anyway. And we all focus on the coaching group, but we've got our trainers, physios, medicos in that space have done an outstanding job. So there's a few more things to finalise. The coaching group's been pretty well documented, but can I just say, we've been around the franchises. The only one we haven't done yet is the Hurricanes, but it's been awesome seeing Plum and Fiki and Stormy get to know some of the players, and particularly Plum and Fiki in there for the first time. They're bringing massive energy, and can't wait. You know, they bring different experience, different ideas, and we're just chucking everything on the pot at the moment.